Bitcoin crashes to 89K. California faces roughly $458 billion in wildfire damages, and history just seems to be repeating itself. These events aren't just headlines, they're signals of a deeper financial reckoning. And when fiat systems crack, Bitcoin thrives. Today, we're diving deep into what's happening in the markets, why it matters, and what history tells us is coming. This could mark the beginning of the greatest Bitcoin bull run in history. Buckle up and stay until the finish, because we're going to reveal the narrow path and how you can turn $1,000 a month into $25 million. Hey, we got massive news to get to today. Send it!
The issue is ultimately going to fall on the federal government, Cheryl. Yep. I mean, it's interesting to see the relationship that Gavin Newsom and President Trump have had in the past. Now they're going to have to work together, and you're going to have to see some kind of federal aid. I'm sure that continuing resolution on March 14th is going to have to include disaster aid. I want to ask our lawmaker guest today about that, Cheryl.
Absolutely, because I want to pick up on something that Ashley was talking about there. FAIR, right now, that backup policy of last resort covers about 500,000 homeowners who can't get private coverage, okay? Their exposure right now is at $458 billion. That was in September, potential exposure. That FAIR program only has $700 million cash on hand to pay claims. All right. California is the only state that does not allow private insurance companies, State Farm and Allstate are the two biggest in California, to incorporate the cost of reinsurance into their premiums. And this is why 100,000 Californians lost coverage between 2019 and 2024. You know, State Farm, they dropped 70% of their customers around the Santa Monica Mountains. Just the Santa Monica Mountains, Maria. Yeah. This is what's happening in this state. There is no money.
Now let's get right into what's happening in California, a disaster that could ripple across the financial system. The wildfires are estimated to cost over $400 billion, making it the most expensive natural disaster in U.S. history. Here's where it gets extra sloppy. The state's FAIR insurance program only has $700 million in cash reserves to cover claims. That's like trying to patch a sinking ship with duct tape. When insurance companies can't pay out, the financial contagion begins. All those unrealized losses now become realized losses. And banks that are exposed to these insurers will start to wobble. Does it sound familiar? I know you're probably getting '08 financial crisis vibes, but this has also happened before. Let's go ahead and look back at the Florida housing market crash of 1926. Hurricanes decimated real estate, banks collapsed, and you know what happened? The government stepped in with bailouts. Those bailouts were funded by, you guessed it, money printing. Natural disasters don't just destroy property. They expose the cracks in the financial system. And every time this happens, the response is always the same. Print more money. The result, hard assets like Bitcoin become the safe haven. And speaking of, let's get to Bitcoin. Yes, it did pull back to 89K, and I get it. On the surface, it feels like a crash. Well, if you're new. But let's zoom out. This isn't new. Every single post-halving cycle has its pullbacks before hitting new all-time highs. In 2021, we saw Bitcoin drop by 75% from its peak before surging to new highs. Even in 2024, we had a 33% correction in April before the rally continued. Here's the thing. Corrections like this are just par for the course. It's part of the process. Don't believe me? Well, why don't you listen to Fundstrat's Tom Lee, who's thinking you better get ready for 200K or more Bitcoin and before the end of 2025.
Tom, what is the movement in Bitcoin say to you? So we're at 91,000. What is that? What is that a signal or a sign of anything in this sort of analysis?
Stupid Fed.
Yeah.
It's not cutting.
Yeah, Bitcoin's down roughly 15% from its highs, which for a hyper-volatile asset is a pretty normal correction, and it is slightly following global liquidity, but we're pretty early in this halving cycle. So to me, I think Bitcoin in the near term, I think 70,000 is where we can sort of make a stand. It means you're getting a big opportunity because I think Bitcoin's going to be one of the best performing assets.
So hold on, but you still think it goes all the way down to 70,000, or you think that's the floor, in which case you would still buy at this price?
Yeah, so there's Fibonacci's. So one level would be 70.
Let's say that again.
There's retracement levels. So you pull back from where you rallied.
Right.
So 70 is one level. It could go to as low as the 50s. But that's, again, not a new level. It's just where it touches and before it begins to rally again.
Okay, let me ask you a different question. For those folks who are watching who are not in Bitcoin or are thinking about buying Bitcoin at these prices, are you saying that this is a fair and good price to get in, or are you saying wait because you think it's going farther down?
You know, Bitcoin is something you need to be long-term focused. I don't think anyone's going to lose money buying here at 90. If they're trying to time this, maybe they'll get lucky and it goes to 70. But to me, Bitcoin could be significantly higher this year, you know, maybe 200, 250. So I think 90 is still a good entry point.
The recent bearish MACD crossover has some people worried, but history shows us these moments are temporary. Stay the course, stack sats, and trust the process, especially when we have another disaster unfolding, and this one's in plain sight. Biden says the economy is the best in the world and stronger than ever for all Americans. But let me ask you, okay, Brandon, is the strong economy in the room with us right now? I don't know what he's having, but I'll be having what he's having. And here's the truth. The Philly Fed just exposed a massive lie. Remember those red-hot job numbers from Q2? Turns out they were all completely fabricated. The reality, 0 net jobs were created. Hey, where's that cool, crazy old guy? Let me repeat that.
0. 0. 0.
I know that guy hates Bitcoin, but I kind of like him. This is what's happening. Our leaders are propping up the illusion of economic strength while the foundations are crumbling, and people are waking up to this and they're seeking refuge in something they can trust. Bitcoin. Here's where it all ties together. Wildfires in California, fake job numbers, and rising bond yields are all pointing to one inevitable conclusion. Massive money printing. Governments don't have another option. When faced with financial collapse, they always turn on the money printers.
One way to deal with this is obviously raising interest rates to tackle inflation, an obvious move. But what is the answer to this problem then? What can the US Treasury and the Fed do right now to deal with this looming crisis?
Well, yeah, raising rates is what Paul Volcker did in 1980 when the debt to GDP ratio that was a possibility, and it worked after a massive debt raising of interest rates into the 19%, right? But the debt to GDP ratio right now is 10 times at least higher. So that's actually not going to work. There is no solution. That's why people are running into Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin's worth over $1 trillion now, why it's going to $10 trillion now, is that people are running for the hills. They're getting out of Dodge. They're dumping their U.S. Treasury bonds. They're dumping whatever they can, and they're putting it into Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin, we're going to see Bitcoin be the major winner in this sovereign debt collapse globally. That's how you get to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 per Bitcoin. Everybody knows it now. Paul Tudor Jones, Stan Druckenmiller, Michael Saylor over at MicroStrategy. They're all openly talking about a speculative attack against the central banks. Borrow at that cheap rate, buy Bitcoin, and let them die. That's what's going on.
Max Keiser nailed it when he said they're dumping treasuries, dumping fiat, and moving into Bitcoin. That's how you get to Tom Lee's 200, 300, 400K per Bitcoin. And this is what happens when fiat currencies lose their value. People turn to the hardest money on the planet. Now let's talk about what we need to do. How you could turn $1,000 a month into 25 million. But before we do, look at our likes.
But you can't do this to me.
You know how much I sacrificed?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp while we take a moment to recognize our sponsors. Your #1 spot to learn how to Bitcoin. The masters of Bitcoin sovereignty. The Bitcoin Way. Simply Bitcoin Originals are powered by the Bitcoin Way. They bring over 25 years of cybersecurity experience. They are your IT team in the Bitcoin world. They help bridge that gap from the why Bitcoin to the how Bitcoin. And as your dedicated Bitcoin IT team, the Bitcoin Way is here to guide you from start to finish on your journey to properly self-custody your Bitcoin. From your first wallet node to advanced multi-sig security, inheritance planning, and much more, the Bitcoin Way has got you covered, and they will hold your hand and walk you through the process toward becoming a sovereign individual. Big finish time. All right, my friends, there's a straight line to Valhalla, and it's simple. Buy Bitcoin, hodl, repeat. That's it. But most people, they won't walk that line. Instead, they get caught up in the noise. They'll FOMO in at the top and sell at the bottom and repeat the cycle. But here's the truth. If you stay focused, if you walk the straight line, you're setting yourself up for unimaginable wealth. 20 years of consistent Bitcoin investing, and you could turn $1,000 a month into 25 million cuckbucks. The question is, will you walk the line? Another big question you gotta ask yourself. Will you get tickets to Mining Disrupt 2025? The biggest Bitcoin mining conference on the planet, and it's coming to Fort Lauderdale March 25th through the 27th. Get your tickets today and join thousands of Bitcoin mining professionals and enthusiasts from around the globe for an electrifying experience at Mining Disrupt. See the latest cutting-edge hardware, products, and services that are revolutionizing the Bitcoin mining industry. For over half a decade, Mining Disrupt has been the premier conference and expo exclusively dedicated to Bitcoin mining. Be part of the future and join the movement that's shaping the world of Bitcoin mining. Don't miss out. Head over to miningdisrupt.com and get your tickets today. Don't forget to use promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off. And the Simply Bitcoin news desk will be on site. I'm going to be there. Nico and Opti are going to be there holding it down, and we hope to see you there as well. My friends, Bitcoin isn't just a financial tool. It's a lifeboat. It's the one asset that thrives when everything else collapses. So remember, every dip, every crash, every headline of doom is just another opportunity at cheap sats. Stay focused, keep stacking, and prepare for the greatest bull run in history. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Is the biggest bailout in U.S. history coming? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp by sharing this video with someone that's still saving in fiat.
We call them poor.
Hey, love you guys. Catch you next time. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.